So where were you born?
I was born in Evansville, Indiana.
Evansville. And when did your family come to Muncie, or when did you come to Muncie?
I was adopted
Okay.
by Fred and Mary Lamb and the Ball brothers.
Oh, you were adopted by the Ball brothers?
Well, Fred and Mary Lamb worked for the Ball brothers, okay, for Edmund Ball. And they were a lot older to be, parents for a young girl. So Ball brothers signed, yes, that, they would see that I prospered and got along fine.
How old were you when you left Muncie?
When I left Muncie, I was grown, married, and had 3 sons.
So you did live in Muncie then for...
Oh, yes. Very long time.
How was it living in Muncie? You lived in the Ball house?
From 8 years old, I lived in the Ball house, the mansion on Minnetrista Boulevard. That is now an art gallery, I believe. And, I was treated wonderful.
Really? That's great.
Went to McKinley Elementary, went to McKinley Junior High, and went to Central.
Okay.
Yeah. Graduated from them all.
Okay.
So so did you grow up with Dolores?
Yes.
She grew up with me?
When I was adopted, my mother, like I said, they were older, and they really picked and chose who I was friends with. And Dolores' family, which, Dolores was half Mexican and half black. And so that's who I could run around with. In other words, that's who I could be friends with because she knew them. And so it was the Vargas family.
So did it have anything to do, you mentioned her nationality, I guess I could say. Did that have anything to do with it?
No. No. I just did that because I wanted you to realize it was Dolores Vargas,
Yes.
not Reinhardt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's
Okay.
So your parents, they worked for the Balls?
Yes.
And they lived in the house?
Yes.
And how? What did they do? And how did they get their job, I guess?
Okay. My mother was totally blind. That was one reason why I was adopted, to be a helper, which I'm still helping everybody in the world. And my father was the, I don't know if you'd call him a butler. He just did a little bit of everything, and even chauffeur.
Butler, chauffeur. I guess, was your mother born blind, or did she...
As far as I know, no. If something with her optic nerve.
Okay. So she gained it later in life?
No, she never gained her eyesight back.
Oh, okay.
No. The whole time that they had me, she was totally blind. Yes.
What did she do around the house?
Me?
Your mother and you.
She cooked.
Cooked.
Would you believe it? Totally blind, and she cooked.
Wow.
She's a wonderful cook.
That's what Dolores told us, that she cooked.
Wonderful cook.
And she cooked for the entire Edmund Ball family?
The Edmund Ball family, which consisted of course, Mrs. Ball. Mr. Ball was dead at that time.
Okay.
Mrs. Ball. And she had a son, Edmund Ball, which I think just passed away here last year or so. And then she had Adelia Ball Morris. And she had Janice Ball Fisher.
Okay.
She's the only survivor right now.
And that's who you get letters from?
Every year.
Oh,
Family.
fabulous.
Have you ever seen them?
No.
All you got to do is look at one Christmas card and you will enjoy the beautiful family of all of them. Every year. And the family is enormous.
Really?
Mr. Fisher took over and worked with Mr. Ball as head of the factory there. Everything in Muncie. Everything in Muncie is Ball Brothers. This is... So have you ever seen such a family? Look at this. They're beautiful. Every
Very
year.
large family.
It grows, and as it grows, she gives me the pictures. But this is the original. This is the daughter.
So
this was the youngest.
Janice Ball
Janice
Fisher?
Ball Fisher.
Okay, that's her
And that's
husband.
her husband, John Fisher.
They like to travel a lot.
I've got postcards that Mrs. Ball, the elderly Mrs. Ball, sent to my mom and dad from England, France, everywhere, and I just keep them. They're just postcards, that she would drop to them and tell them how she's doing.
Wow, these Christmas cards are amazing.
Aren't those though?
They're like
Have you ever seen such?
pamphlets.
Aren't
Wow,
they beautiful?
They are so beautiful.
And they have them. They always have their picture as the head, on all of them, and then they sprout it out to all of their children and their grandchildren and their great grandchildren.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
And they get together.
They're lovely people.
Really? That's great.
Mm-hmm.
These.
Mm-hmm.
These are great.
Uh-huh.
No,
I think she wrote something on that one,
yeah,
didn't
she
she?
did. Mm-hmm.
It's from Janice.
And where does she currently live?
She lives on Burlington Drive.
Okay.
Way out on Burlington, past, well, I don't know if you know that area they call 5 Points or something out there in that
Okay.
area, and you go on out Burlington. Mm-hmm.
Is that here in Muncie?
Muncie.
And how long did you work with the Balls?
Did I work with them? I didn't work at all.
Okay, you didn't work at all.
No.
You just
My mother and dad did.
right.
Oh, I don't know how many years. Heavens, forever. In fact, all of those people grew up depending on my mom and dad as their guidance, and everything.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But like I told you, they were a lot older than me when they took me to raise me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know anything about your parents' history?
No.
Not too much. Okay.
Well, I do know a little bit. I don't know if you care to hear it.
Yeah.
But I was born in 29,
Mm-hmm.
that area. It's an area where people nowadays don't think of black and white. Okay. I had a white mother and I had a black father, and I wasn't wanted by either one. You know what I mean? My mother kept me until I was 5. She could not put me in school. Times were bad. That's the way things were back then. And so she had to put me in orphan's home in order to go to school. That's the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way life is. I never knew the father.
Okay.
So,
Was it like as far as going to school in Muncie and the Balls were a prominent figure of Muncie? Were you teased or picked on or anything for?
tell me about it. Oh,
Really?
man. I was fine in McKinley Elementary.
Mhm.
Because back in those days, here again, we go back to black and white. All the kids that went there were white.
Really?
Okay. And then when I went to McKinley Junior High, well, we had kids from Keener coming in, all, from Whiteley, and that's where
Mhm.
Dolores and them come in the picture a lot. She took up for me. But it was terrible. It was, the black thought I was better than them because I come from Ball Brothers walking to school. And then the white found out I was black, and they didn't want it either, see. So it was rough in them days. It's not nowadays, but it was then. Very rough. And I really got some knocking arounds there in junior high school, believe me.
Really?
By the time I went to Central, I was well able to take up for myself. Yeah. So. But it was rough. Really rough.
That's what I kind of figured it would be because everybody in Muncie always mentions the Balls. Everything is
The
about
Balls is everything.
And so,
Ball State, Ball
Right.
Hospital, Ball. There used to be Ball stores. Everything was Ball.
and to live with them, I know people would probably hate you for that reason.
Well, now the white didn't as much. They didn't pay as much attention to it, other than they found out I was black.
Right.
And then, of course, see, the thing is, once I don't care if you only got this much black in you, you're black, and that's life. That's the way life is. We can't do anything about it. But it was the black kids that really picked on me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Did the white?
Dolores used to take up for me, and I had one other friend in school, Clara May, that she used to. Oh, she was rough. She was tough. She would take up for me. But I mean, there was some out there. Whew, they did me in.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know nothing about fighting because I had never been brought up to fight, you know.
Right.
So I learned.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the white children or white families just kind of was ignored the fact, or just kind of.
Oh no, they were nice to me. You know, I played the piano. We had a little jazz band in junior high school that it was a minister's son played the bass, and then there was a white boy that played a trumpet, and I played piano, and that sort of brought around the friendliness. But no, the white weren't mean and fighting at me, where the black would beat me up, good and proper, you know.
Really?
But that's life, you know. I'm so glad people nowadays don't have to go through that, you know.
You think it's better nowadays? People are
Oh,
more
yes.
understanding?
Well, you know, a mixture of race is nothing nowadays. You go back to when I was born. It's horrible. Even when my boys were born, it wasn't really coming out there real good, you know. Jay might have been the one that got, you know, by the most because it was getting better, you know.
Oh, your kids are also biracial?
No.
And they got...
No. My husband lives there, ex-husband lives there in Muncie. They're only biracial with me, but what I'm saying is the race problem in Muncie was there
Right.
when Jimmy, my oldest boy, he was a policeman there in Muncie, incidentally, and Jeffrey, they were both in high school, but and they went to Keener, and there was a lot of racial problems then. Jay, I left and put him through the schools over here. So he didn't, you probably know my younger son, Jay Edwards. Have you ever heard of him? He played for IU.
Oh, yeah. That's your son.
That's my son.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that.
What does he do now?
He's out in California now.
California.
He was playing in Israel for about 3 years, and then
Wow.
things started getting pretty rough over there. So put it all down.
When did you graduate from high school?
I graduated in 1947. I wasn't supposed to come out to 48, but I was one of those that got all my credits, you know, big time, you know, I thought. And I came out in 47, and Balls wanted to put me through Ball State. However, you know, like again I said, my parents were much older. They didn't stress education. And you can imagine 17-year-old girl, 18-year-old girl coming out of high school. Only thing I thought of was to get a job so I could get a bank account. I could get, you know. So I got a job at a little grocery store, which was called Parrott's Grocery Store out there.
Where was it located?
In Whiteley. And I worked there for quite a while. And
Who was it owned by? Was it?
his name was Parrott, Mr. Parrott.
Mm-hmm.
God, what was his first name? Some things leave my memory, although I know I worked there. Mrs. Parrott. They had a grocery store on Highland Avenue. The correct address, I don't know. It was...
It's okay.
It's down there quite a while, way on Highland.
And so you worked there?
Mm-hmm. And then I, let's see, I got married.
When did you
Of
get
course. I got married when I was 23, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
22, 23. And my husband was a bus driver. That's all I'll say.
married? That's fine. You had 3 sons?
I had 3 sons.
And they're all doing well?
They're all doing well.
Good.
Jimmy and Jay are in California, and Jeff lives here in Marion. And he's my guardian angel. He looks over me. And then I worked at RCA over here, and I commuted. There was quite a few of us commuting back and forwards for probably 5 or 6, 7 years, you know. And then when I just decided, well, I had had enough. I left. I brought Jay, which was 5 then, and Jeff, he had just got hired in over here at RCA, so we moved to Marion.
Mm-hmm.
So worked at RCA, but we also, during my marriage, we had a nightclub there in Marion, Muncie.
Oh, you guys owned a nightclub?
That was my husband and myself.
Was that difficult?
Was it difficult? Yes.
Why was it difficult?
It was difficult to the point where, I don't know how to explain. I had two young boys. Jay wasn't born then. I had two young boys. I had to take care of them. My dad was still living, and I took care of him. And then I tried to work up there too, and it was difficult.
Where was the nightclub located?
It was located on Centennial.
What did you guys call it?
Blue Note.
How long did you guys run that?
I don't know. Probably, I'm just roughly speaking, I would say probably 3 years or so. 3 or 4 years, something like that.
Was it hard to, get a loan to start your nightclub, you think, in Muncie?
In Muncie, yes, but we did have at that time, we had a white man that was a business partner of ours.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't even recall what his name was, so. But we did have that.
Because we've come across, talking with Dolores and some others, that there was difficult to find loans at that time.
Yes.
And that there was quite a difference between the white and black populations in Muncie. How do you feel about that time area? Was it pretty strict as the different treatment for whites and blacks?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
I do believe that, yes. I haven't been in Muncie lately, so I have no idea how it is, but it was all Greek to me when I went out into the world, because I had been raised at balls, and they didn't make a difference with me, I would go to Leland, Michigan, which they have a summer home, and go in the lake, go swimming with them, go just everything. I mean, I was like one of them, and then to go out into the world and hear all this hitting me in the face with a lot of this stuff, it was
hard.
rough, But I learned about it, and Dolores and them, they had their barber shop, her and Carl, and they've been in it for years. And then I think maybe her son, does her son have it now?
Yes.
Okay.
How did you meet Dolores? Your parents knew them?
Knew her parents.
Knew the Vargases? Okay.
And, yeah.
Okay.
And so I was allowed to go there and play. And they had a lot of children.
Yes.
Huge family. And I think our mother's still living over here with one of the girls.
Yeah, we're meeting with her after.
Oh, are you meeting?
Yeah,
Are you meeting there?
tonight.
Good. They're very nice.
Yes. I guess I was wondering, how did your adopted parents get the job with the balls? Do you know how
I
that?
don't know. They were already there when I got there, so I have no idea. But they did raise their children.
The balls raised your
No.
parents' children?
No, my parents raised the Ball children.
Okay.
Okay.
And they I guess you might not know if they were from Muncie or if they'd lived in the area.
Well, they weren't born in Muncie.
Okay.
My dad was born in Ohio, I believe, and my mother was born in Tennessee, if I can remember correctly.
Okay. I was just wondering if they'd lived in the White Lake community or.
They lived in the White Lake community.
Okay.
That's where we had a home in White Lake.
Oh, really? Okay.
On Turner Street.
So, I guess I don't understand. Did they live with the Balls and then you had a home as well? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They bought a home,
In White Lake.
but they lived with the Balls, And then, they'd go out and check it out and everything. And then when she got ill, then they moved into their home.
Okay.
And she passed away. He continued at Balls, and but lived in the home. And then my husband and I lived in the home and took
Okay.
care of him.
In the ball house, you said Dolores would come over and play with you, and you would play with other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dolores wasn't the only one. There's Marcelina. She lives here. There was a bunch of them. You know, big family of them.
That's neat.
Mm-hmm.
Did you or your husband or children ever have it difficult finding jobs or work in Muncie, or any of your friends that you knew?
Well, I don't think jobs were that plentiful in Muncie at that time. No, my son, when he graduated from high school, well, one son went to college in Texas. And my middle son decided he wanted to go to work, so he came over here and got into RCA and is still there. So, you know, jobs as a whole, I just, they weren't that great. No, that's why I came over here and put an application at RCA. I was trying to get into something that paid more money, that paid money, you know. And so I came over here and got in the factory over here.
What do you and do you think factories were a good opportunity to make money?
It was good then, you know. And especially when I was so stupid not to go on to college and get a degree. It would have helped. But I was a little, you know, what can I say?
And so you encouraged that for your children to go to
Sure.
college?
Yes.
You feel like that was a good opportunity for them?
It was a wonderful opportunity. I wish Jay had stayed. You know, he was very, very, very good at basketball. So good, and they kept telling him he's good, and he's good, and he's good. So he left when after his sophomore year, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I would tell him to get an education. So I had no one to tell me. You know, actually, Mrs. Ball had passed away, and then the three children were all married in their ways, you know. I had no one really to tell me that education's what you need, you know.
Mm-hmm.
How did your two sons end up in California? Just out of curiosity. They just wanted to.
He got drafted by the Clippers. Jay did. And then Jimmy went out there to stay with him. And so they stayed out there. Or the big one did.
And what does he do, Jimmy?
He is over security at the Marriott at the airport.
Okay.
But you know,
Jay.
yeah, he doesn't play anymore. Or he does. Okay.
What does he do?
He goofed off.
Okay.
Get in.
I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm. He goofed off, but he's doing fine.
Good.
And like I said, he did go to Israel for 3 years and played ball, and then it started getting so
Rough.
bad, very bad. Had to have a gas mask with him in his room and stuff. That's ridiculous, you know. So, but the living with Ball brothers was wonderful. It really was. I used to think that house was Dracula's castle. You know, you're young, your imagination runs away with you, and that's a very big house. Have you been out? Have you ever been in it?
I've not been in it, but I've seen it. It's kind of the like rock one.
It's the rock one with the red top.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. I've seen it.
Beautiful.
Beautiful house. Very large.
It's an art gallery now.
Mm-hmm.
I went over there my son and I went over there. They used to, when they were little, we'd go out there and Mrs. Ball used to have one of those chairs, you know, that goes up the big staircase, you know, they have a big staircase going up. And they would love to get in this chair and ride up and down this chair. So I was telling Jeff, you guys were coming over. He said, don't tell them about us riding in that chair. But I used to sit in the room there, and I had every opportunity in the world, I must say. And I took piano lessons, and I used to, my piano teacher was a Mr. Thomas, and he was old too then. So. And I would sit there. It's a baby grand piano, and I would sit there and practice my lessons. But there was to show you how dumb I was, there was a portrait, big, huge portrait on the wall. And Mr. Ball was at that end, and this was an aunt or something. Just a huge, big portrait. And as I would practice, I would look at it, and every way I'd turn looked like her eyes were following me. And I thought, you're scared to death. You're trying to practice. You can't help from looking, but that's the way portraits, I guess, are. I don't know too much about art. But it looks as though their eyes are following you everywhere you go. They're not really, but it looks that way. And being young, you can imagine me sitting there practicing the piano, seeing these eyes move. Yeah. So what else did you want to know about me?
Basically, I guess, how you feel that you or most of the friends you knew or family you knew made a living in Muncie. Anything you know about that?
Well, of course, Ball Brothers had a factory there at that time, too. Do they have any parts of the factory left there now?
No.
Okay. They had a factory. Are you from Muncie?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. They had a factory there, and it employed, I don't know how many people, because I was younger and don't,
Right.
get into that part of it. But I tell you the truth, when I was younger, I don't know what was there as far as work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But as I grew, older, then, the factories were there. Jimmy's first wife, I think she still works there, worked there at Chevrolet. And I don't know. Other than I know we did run a nightclub. And then when we closed that down, I came to RCA.
Okay. And it was easy to get a position at RCA?
Me?
Yeah.
Got a very good one. I was put into quality right away, which was just a sit-down job. Half the time I wanted to go to sleep. But it was a good job. And, yeah. I worked there 25 years before I retired.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. And, it was nice. But Ball Brothers as a whole was very, very good to me. And my mother and dad.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have anyone else who worked for them and did anything around the house, or did any of the other Ball family members?
After my mother died, there was a lady that came there to cook in her place. And I don't remember her name.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another one after her that came and kept the place clean, and and they've all passed away. So actually, I can't recall those people particularly, but yes. And then my dad stayed there until he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I was about when my mother passed away, I was pregnant with my first child. See, I got married in 52.
Mm-hmm.
So she must have died in 52. And then my dad lived till 60, probably 4 or 5 or something. I don't know the correct age.
I was wondering, what do you think about the military? Did your sons ever think about joining the military?
The military was never, was never an option to them because I guess they were in between ages here of, things happening in the military. So they never, no. Okay. None of them ever mentioned their military, no. Jimmy became a policeman. Jeff came over here, and Jay was a ball player.
Mm-hmm.
Played for Bobby.
All right.
Now, you want a book on that?
That was probably an experience.
Quite an experience. You can believe it. I've been there. Yep.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to any other
Yep.
When you worked for the grocery, what did you do? Were you just a clerk or a stacker? Or?
I was a clerk and cashier, a little bit of everything, because it wasn't a supermarket.
Was
But
it
I
a
did
black
work
family
for a
that owned it?
supermarket at one time, though.
Was it a black family that owned the Parrots Grocery?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. And I worked for them. Then I did work for Stevenson's, I think it was, had a supermarket there also.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the same building where we had the nightclub later.
Oh, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm. So. But I guess maybe, as far as finding at work and what work went on in Muncie, I'm probably not the best candidate to talk to,
Mm-hmm.
but living at Balls, I could tell you everything.
Living at Balls, I'm assuming they supplied your family very well and were very helpful to your family, you and your parents and everything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, everything.
Mm-hmm. And that what your parents did was your mom considered kind of domestic work, and your dad was worked as a butler.
I suppose you'd say butler, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All around man, really.
Anything they needed.
Anything
him to
they
do.
needed. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you played with the Ball children. Were you the same age around them?
Their children.
Janice's children.
Janice, well, not necessarily her children, but it was Mrs. Morris, Adelia Morris's children.
Okay.
And their father was a Navy man.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times they were there. And, yeah, played with them, watched after them. Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
Yeah. But time goes along. I don't really know where they're at right now. I do
Right.
know the oldest girl, I think, the last time I heard, had a ski resort in Traverse City, Michigan. And I'm not really sure, And these, I don't, Janice and I was at their wedding.
Okay.
Janice and John Fisher. Little girl. So actually a lot of her kids are, this is just 99. It's almost got the year on most all of them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. This is in 2000.
Aren't they beautiful, though? And every year I can bet on getting a Christmas card from them with the whole family.
They are amazing Christmas cards as well.
Now, this one, she has 4 generations, which that's her oldest girl. And they knew her as a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And that must be her girl, and that must be her son.
Mm-hmm.
But, yes, she's the only survivor left now.
Janice's?
Mm-hmm. Of that
The
particular
original
ball.
ball.
That's Ed Ball.
And they would go on extravagant vacations.
Oh, yeah. They
Did you ever go on vacation
traveled a
with
lot.
them?
I went to Leland, Michigan. That was their summer home. I'd be up there all summer
Okay.
with them. We had our own cottage, and it was very nice, very nice.
Are both of them still alive?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They're the really only 2 of that generation from that Ball family, from Edmund Ball family, living.
Mm-hmm. Those are really neat.
But they really have quite a family, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Really. I don't know if this was this year's or not. I didn't even take them all out. I don't know what year this is. This is 2001. They even sent our 7th great-grandchild.
Wow.
That's
incredible.
It is.
For 16 days.
And they got their pictures on fishing trips or something, wherever.
Germany, Austria,
And
Audubon, Hungary,
that's something.
Switzerland, exploring the Danube River, Slovakia.
What a life, huh?
So what did Janice do as her profession, her job? Like,
I don't recall her ever having one.
really?
I'm not saying that she didn't.
Right.
I guess maybe I was a little busy with my own life at that particular time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't recall any of them, but Mr. Ball, of course, Edmund Ball. He run the factory, and then Mr. Fisher here.
Took over.
Yes. Well, they work together. They run it together. And I think probably Mr. Fisher ended up taking over it all. But I don't know what Janice.
I was just curious to see if any of them had to work.
Once she got no. Once she got married, she just had children, as you can see.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Morris died here, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And then Mr. Ball just died. I think he was 90-something when he died. So he was married twice, and he had his first wife. I adored her. She got killed in a boat accident.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And then he married the white male at this time.
How do you think Muncie community, either white or black, viewed the Balls?
They'd have to view them. Well, I know how I viewed them, you know. Maybe not when I was coming up. Actually, when a child is 10, 11, 12 years old, they don't appreciate too much of nothing, you know. But I would think that they would be very proud of them. They're the ones that, I mean, without them, I doubt if you'd have Ball State. I doubt if you'd have Ball Hospital. And you see the statue there at Ball State. You know, on the
Native American, the Indian.
Oh no, that's at the end of Minnetrista.
Yeah,
I'm talking about out on Ball State. They're not angels. I guess they're the five Ball brothers, isn't it?
The pillars.
The pillars. What is it? You know, I've been gone from there so long, I don't even know.
There's
what is up there.
There's 5 pillars on Minnetrista Boulevard.
No, I'm talking about out Ball State.
Beneficence, the angel statue.
Is it the angels that are on each one of them? Well, that's what they represent.
Okay.
What are there, 5?
There's 5 original Ball brothers. I guess I'm trying to think of what.
I just know the pillars that are right there.
How many are there?
5.
5.
By
So.
where the angel is. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
all those pillars? Yeah. I'm not sure. There's lots of those. Isn't there? Yeah. 5?
Isn't it funny when you go to somewhere?
Yeah.
You
And
just don't. Yeah.
you don't think about it.
There were 4 Ball brothers, and I don't think she was a sister. See, there was Frank Ball, Ed Ball, Lucius Ball, George Ball. I'm thinking of the houses.
Mm-hmm. And they're on Minnetrista area?
Mm-hmm. Might have been 5. Oh, was that the 5th one? I can't. All in Minnetrista. The boulevard there.
Right, along the White River?
Yes. And then at the end down there, that's the statue of the Indian you're talking about
Yes.
down there.
Which was dedicated to Edmund Burke.
Yeah. That's the one
Yes.
that I was at.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Did any of the other Ball brothers have people come work for them in their house?
oh yeah.
Did they have kids that you would play with, though?
Not at my age, I don't think. I don't recall playing with any of them. No. You know. I didn't have a lot of, I was sort of a tight-in, thing, very strict. Not taught a whole lot. Was very green when I went into the world, because they were older, and back in those days there were certain things you don't talk about. And they didn't talk to me about it. So I had to learn on my own. Where nowadays the kids do get a little more knowledge, But as far as jobs and things, I can't really. Dolores probably could tell you a whole lot more than I can about what people. Because, see, she had all her brothers and sisters. Well, so many brothers, but she had 2 brothers. But, they would want to get jobs. And so therefore, she would know the problems that they had getting jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And well, she has two sisters that live here now, over here. And the mother is,
Mm-hmm.
I think she's 90-something, didn't she?
She
What did
said
Dolores-
91.
She's 91?
Mm-hmm.
It's remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I could go to their house and play.
What did you do when you guys got together to play?
Oh, heavens, I don't know what we did. In those younger years, you know, they used to live in a real tiny little house, I remember. And they had a lot of children. And heavens, I don't know what we do. When she came to balls, I don't even know what we did then. I don't remember what we did, you know. A few things stand out in my mind, you know, of things that you do. I do know the hard time I had in school, I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
That will never leave my mind. But that was something that couldn't be helped because it was the times which I lived, you know.
And in school, it was an everyday battle, you would say?
Almost. Yeah, there was 2 or 3 girls from the Whiteley area that looked like they just lay for me, boy.
Just
Pull
because...
my hair. Oh, God, it was terrible.
Really?
Just everything, you know. And, but like I said, I had Dolores came to my rescue, and she was pretty rough.
Okay.
Dolores is a pretty tough little girl.
She is tough.
And then I had another girlfriend that was, you know, tough, so that helped. Until I gained respect with them. But it was mostly the black kids.
They just didn't like that you...
They just didn't like me very. They, you know, they thought I was better, or back then even your color would have something to do with it. You know, she's lighter than I am, and you know, it's that same old thing that goes on. Same old. It's not now, thank God, but it was then. So it's life.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Mm-hmm. But Ball Brothers was very nice, and I never ever really worked for them.
Okay, I didn't know if you
But I
helped
was
your mother...
just oh yes, I always helped them. I mean, I think when you work for someone, you probably get paid for it, but I was getting paid in a different way. You know, I was getting paid through my schooling, through my anything, my piano lessons, my all that.
So
you know.
would they provided you piano lessons and
Oh, yeah.
clothing for school and...
Well, I
School
don't know what all.
supplies.
Yeah, I would
Right.
think yes, yeah, and well taken care of.
What were the, I guess, did you know the day-to-day duties that your mom and dad would do around the house?
My dad cooked. I mean, my mom cooked.
Just cooked?
And he helped her because she was blind,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to see that everything was in place because
Did they
everything
set
had to
all
be
the
in place.
tables and bring the food out and everything?
And I used to do that a lot,
Set the tables?
even as a child. Yeah.
Did they do the laundry and that type of things as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so about everything around the house.
Everything.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing that your mother could do all that blind.
Yeah, she was totally blind. She always thought that she would see before she left this world, she said, but she never did.
Wow.
Yeah. I said I think I was brought here to help people because I remember guiding her into church, you know, and I'd take her down the aisle and set her down, and then I'd have to go play the piano, and then, you know, it was always a help, always there. I had to be there, to, you know, to help her, and to this day, I'm still helping. After I retired from RCA, I take care of a little retarded girl, believe it or not, and I'm still, you know, helping this child that can't talk, help her communicate. So.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. That's what my life consisted of.
What church did you go to in Muncie?
Bethel AME Church.
Bethlehem, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you played the piano there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
For Sunday services?
I used to be in church 3 services a day on Sunday. It would be the morning service after Sunday school. And be ACE League, which they would call then, which was young people's gathering. And from that to night church. play. And then I also played for Dolores a lot live. Dolores was a beautiful singer. And I accompanied her a lot. She had a sister also that died here a couple of years ago, that beautiful piano player. And but Dolores used to sing, and I would accompany her.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice life. So now you're going over and talk to Miss Ruth?
Mm-hmm. We're
Are
going
you?
to talk to her about all of her experiences and her many years.
Quite a lot of experiences.
Yes.
They used to have a restaurant called Mexican John's.
Mm-hmm.
Did Dolores tell you?
A little bit.
Yeah. And that's when her dad was living. And Miss Ruth was such a sweet lady. She was so nice and calm with all those children. I would have went out the door with them. But she was, and still is, very nice lady.
Mm-hmm.
I see her at church every now and then. However, I haven't been to church lately, so. But Dolores' sister's been by a couple times here lately, and Dolores and Carl were over here. I guess when her sister passed away, they were over here to Marcy's. So, are you going to meet her? She's a sister right under Dolores.
Whoever.
There's Pettiford. They didn't mention her. Okay. So you're going to see Vita.
Vita, yes.
Mm-hmm. That's where they live. Where? What's the address of their house?
I have it.
I'm trying to think. It's not far from here.
Yeah, they gave us directions from here to
Did
the
they?
house. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
How'd they tell you to go?
I'll have to find it real quick.
Okay.
Do you have
Actually, yeah. Actually, here, do tell her about it real quick.
well, I don't really know because I wasn't in class when they explained it.
Well, this is just so, if you want to sign this, read over it and sign it, you're giving permission that when we write up the other side of Middletown, that if we can use some of your information or any of your quotes, but we will come back and say, look what we wrote, and you can read it and say, I don't like what I said there, can I change it? And that's fine.
Okay.
So that if we do use it in our book or whatever. And then the bottom part is all of the things that we've collected, and I'm sure, I don't know if you're familiar with Hurley Goodall, everything. All the
When
work
school
that
was early.
okay. All the work that we've done is going to be put in with Hurley's collections as well, and they're kept at the Ball State University Archives, so if people want to access them in the future, your tape will be put there, if that's okay with you.
Okay. And you want me to sign where? Right here?
But print your name and then sign in.
Do I have to print?
Yeah.